Welcome to Focus Broadband TV and Jack Campbell Stadium on the campus of South Brunswick High School in Bowling Spring Lakes. Partner, after a miserable, dreary day here in southeastern North Carolina, we've got blue skies to kick off our high school football regular season. Of course, last week we had the second annual Bash at the Beach Football Jamboree, but we are officially kicking off the regular season at South Brunswick High School tonight as the Cougars are set to host the visitors, the Wildcats from Richlands High School. Man, it's good to be back, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Sam, and as you mentioned, very surprising if you had looked not even at the forecast this morning, the actual weather that continued a great part of the day. You would have thought, golly, there's no way we're going to be playing football at South Brunswick this evening. We were supposed to be at Whiteville to play as they were playing the Scorpions from North Brunswick, but their field not playable. We were able to switch over to South, and happy and excited to get a chance to see South kick it off for the 2022 season against, as you said, the Richland Wildcats.
And, Jay, there's probably going to be some surprise on the face of the Cougar players. When they left the field about 20 minutes prior to kickoff, it was pouring down rain. They're going to run out of the tunnel that you see in your camera and see blue skies and think, man, what happened here?
Yeah, and listen, let's hope that, for the next couple of hours we just see dry conditions and pretty skies. But we'll take what we get. And, look, this game and other games in Brunswick County would not happen on these fields absent the improvements that were made to the three Brunswick County schools in terms of their field.
Absolutely. Good point, partner. The captains are meeting at midfield, almost set for the coin toss. Jay, we got number 7 captains for South Brunswick. Number 7, Jameson Prince. Looks like number 38, Garrett Frazier, who did not suit up for last week's Bash at the Beach scrimmage. Number 54, Denzel Bernard. And, of course, Jay, one of your favorites, big 6'5", Demarius Wise. Boy, he is set for a big season. We saw him just wreak havoc on the defensive line a year ago, and Jay, you got to think more of the same from Wise tonight and this year.
If they want to be successful, one of the things that Coach Rocky Lewis has got to figure out how to do is replace a whole bunch of tackles from last year's team that have graduated and moved on. 414 tackles are not on this team this year, including Sheldon Bocook, who had 149 of them all by his lonesome. So, yeah, D. Wise is going to have to step up big this year to help the defensive unit of South Brunswick. You can say the same thing on offense, Sam. They got to replace Danny Parker, who had 1,603 all-purpose yards last year. They got to replace their excellent special teams led by their kicker, Noah Harrell, averaged 38 yards a punt, 23 of 26 for point afters, and 5 of 8 field goals. So there's some gaps in this year's edition of South Brunswick, but there's a lot of good players that are going to be in here tonight as well.
And they were led on the field tonight by the junior Cougars. And, Jay, we got a guy down there who had a great look at it, our sideline reporter, Mr. Mike Maurer.
How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Better now that you're with us, Mike.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting down here already. You can tell the guys are a little bit more juiced than they were last week for the scrimmage at North Brunswick, or West, sorry. But all I can tell you is I'm expecting some high-scoring stuff from the South Brunswick Cougars tonight. They just look ready to go. Their warm-ups look fresh and crisp, and it's exciting down here on the sideline for sure.
South Brunswick led by veteran head coach Rocky Lewis. Again, Jay, these two teams met a year ago early in the season. South Brunswick was a 15-0 winner over the Richlands Wildcats. We are almost set for the opening kickoff. And Jay, you spoke about this young man briefly during the intro, but Jameson Prince going into his junior season. A lot of times, Jay, you see with these high school players in any sport, they make a big leap from that 10th grade year to 11th grade year. What do you expect from Prince?
Well, Coach Lewis is hoping and expecting that from Jameson. And last year, 95 passes completed, 45% completion rate. Only threw for 4 touchdowns, and he threw for 8 interceptions. So he'll have to kind of improve on that category for sure this year. 95 yards on the ground rushing, scored 3 TDs. Got off to a good start in the Bash last week with 2 touchdown passes and 1 touchdown run.
Keyshawn Mcclinton and number 23 Ethan Overton set to back deep to receive the opening kickoff for South Brunswick. The place kicker for Richlands is number 27 Chris Exley. The senior kicker approaches it. It's a high kick, angling toward the corner, and Jay, it was nearly perfect, but it carried him out of bounds at about the 4-yard line, so South Brunswick could opt to have Exley re-kick it or take the ball with excellent starting field position to begin the game.
Yeah, I guess they're going to take the ball in excellent field position, Sam. That was a pretty good boot. Had it been 5 yards more the other way, that may have really put him in trouble.
Yep, just a hair off on the direction of the game's opening kickoff. So, Jay, here we go. Junior quarterback number 7, Jameson Prince, leading South Brunswick. South Brunswick on your screen will be moving left to right with the Carolina blue pants and helmets and the navy tops. Richlands in yellow breeches, yellow tops, and white jerseys.
When he goes up top, he'll be looking for 17, Mike Shrewsbury.
Oh, Richlands with some penetration on the defensive line. Prince handed it to Overton, and he was dropped for we'll call it a 3-yard loss back to the 32-yard line. That will bring up a 2nd and 13. Jay, South Brunswick does not use a huddle, or didn't last week in the scrimmage. They go straight up to the line, get the play from the sideline, and go.
They sure beat him off the line of scrimmage that time, did Richland.
There's a deep ball. He's got a man. It's caught. Oh, no, it's not caught.
I think
no, it's caught, and they're going to rule that he was down. So a big-time completion from the 32 all the way to the other 36-yard line, a gain of 32 yards, and a South Brunswick first down. Jay, was that Shrewsbury?
It was either Shrewsbury or Davis. I think it was Shrewsbury, and 25 passes, 280 yards, 3 scores last year. So he is one of the principal targets, along with number 12, Mark Bishop, who had 14 catches last year. Jordan Davis, 8 catches last year, but they're all capable.
Prince keeps it. Richlands does a good job staying home defensively. Big Mike, what are the challenges for your members of the defensive front there when a quarterback kind of puts that handoff in the belly of the running back and then keeps it and you're not quite sure who's got the ball? What are you trying to do there as a defensive lineman?
As a defensive lineman, really, you're kind of, again, we talked about it last week. You want to step in, make your read on the offensive line, and then look for the ball. Over there, I think they made an excellent read. Everybody flowed left, QB came right, and they maintained their ball depth positioning and were able to kind of tackle him right where he started.
And on the 2nd down and 8 snap, it was a wide receiver screen dropped, and it falls incomplete. So 3rd and 8, ball is at the 34-yard line of Richlands. Play action fake, pass over the head of the intended receiver, which was number 12, Mark Bishop. So, Jay, it took all of about 4 or 5 plays, but a decision time already for South Brunswick head coach Rocky Lewis as the Cougars face a 4th and 8 from the 34-yard line.
Yeah, well, obviously it looks like they're going to go for it. Last year when you had Noah Harrell, you had to maybe think about it, but this year no Noah Harrell. So more 4th down plays this year and a good effort by Prince that time, perhaps drawing Richland offsides.
Yep, it is going to be a penalty against the Wildcats. So, Jay, as an offensive coach, you like your chances a whole lot more facing a 4th and 3 instead of a 4th and 8.
For sure, a much better down and distance situation in which to work. There's different things you could actually run the ball here if you choose to.
3 receivers to the bottom of your screen, lone receiver to the top, sprint out right, Prince fires, has a man, a good catch, Basil Abrams, as he was falling to the turf, snagged it, a 10-yard gain down to the 19, enough for a South Brunswick first down.
Yeah, big Basil that time, a great target, goes down to the ground and makes the catch, and last year he had 21 of them for nearly 300 yards, so Basil's been around a long time, and his experience and talent will help. Take another look at it. Just a little roll right by Prince. Plenty of time, a nice delivery, and look at Basil go down to get the ball.
Prince keeps it around the left edge. He's got a little running room, partner. Tries to cut it back. Finally brought down at about the 12-yard line, a gain of about 7 yards on first down. That'll set up a 2nd and 3, and South Brunswick is inside the 15-yard line of the Wildcats.
So there's some pretty big kids out there for Richland. One of them, 44, C.J. Mcdonald, 6'3", 220, been active here this evening, linebacker position.
Sprint out to the right, pass toward the front pylon, hits the turf and falls incomplete. And, Jay, we've got a flag on the play. It was a holding penalty against the Cougars, and if the penalty's declined, it would set up a 3rd and 3. We'll see what the Wildcats elect to do. It would be a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul there. So, Jay, this is a neat opportunity tonight. Kind of, had to find any game that was going on with the weather that we face. But we've never had a Richlands game. And every time I hear the school name, I think back to the early 2000s when they had Mario Williams, who starred at defensive end for NC State and was later the #1 pick in the NFL draft. Deep ball. Jay, I think that went off 2 receivers, Shrewsbury and #2, Jordan Davis. Looked like both of them had a chance to catch it, and it fell incomplete. But, yeah, Richlands High School, the alma mater of Mario Williams, the #1 overall pick in the 2006 NFL draft. He was a defensive end from NC State, played for the Texans for quite some time. Had a illustrious career in state.
Good news for the Cougars that he isn't here tonight. So
yes, sir.
They got enough to deal with.
3rd and 17, ball's at about the 25-yard line. Hand off to Overton. He's stoned in the backfield for a loss of 2 yards back to the 28-yard line. So, Jay, now we're going to have a 4th and 19, and it'll be about a 45-yard field goal attempt if the Cougars attempt it. Big Mike, how about that penetration from the Richlands defensive front?
Gentlemen, the Richlands defensive line has been making some solid stands against the run. Pass protection on the Cougars side been pretty good. What I'm a little concerned about is a little early season rust on the wide receivers for the Cougars. The incomplete pass in the end zone as well as the big catch that they had. Both receivers on the outside ran the same route and were in the same hole.
Dow Pender's 45-yard field goal attempt was a low hooking kick and no good. So, Jay, Richlands' defense was backed up with their heels on about their 10-yard line. South had a 2nd and 3 from the 12-yard line. And, Jay, if that drive right there does not stress the importance of penalties, you went from a 2nd and 3 from the 12 all the way back to a 2nd and 17 from outside of the red zone, and it changed the entire complexion of that opening drive.
Well, we say it every year, nearly every telecast, because it's true that most football games are lost, not won. One of the ways you lose them is through penalties, and that certainly hurt the Cougs on that possession. Now it's up to the South defense to kind of assert themselves.
Caleb Simcoe, the signal caller for the Richlands Wildcats.
Young guy.
Flanked on each side by a running back.
He's a sophomore, hands off up the
Gonna
middle.
Give this one 42. Devin Galladay, the senior linebacker, was in on, or senior defensive end rather, and on the tackle. Picked up 2 yards out to the 22-yard line, setting up a 2nd and 8.
We'll have to get Big Mike to weigh in on, it looks like the left guard for Richland, number 77, Mara, 6'2", 320, only in the 10th grade.
Yeah, he looks pretty stacked. It's interesting because he's playing alongside one of the smaller left tackles I've ever seen. That's the beauty of high school football, though. So far, 77's just been running downhill on his blocks and just looking good for the last 2 plays at least.
Jay, I was trying to get a number of who carried that ball right. It was Edwards, I believe, number 3.
Was he
Kayan Edwards, the junior running back. And Jay picked up a good gain all the way out to the 28-yard line. So a big play early in the game for the Richlands offense. 3rd and 2, ball's at the 28. The Wildcats need their own 30 for a first down. 2-back gun, Caleb Simcoe directing traffic. .42, Ian Dwight met him in the hole and stopped him. He did pick up maybe a half yard. Yep, the ball's right at the 29-yard line, but he is short of the line to gain.
It's like
and they're going to keep the offense on the field.
Maybe try
hard count, maybe?
Maybe try to draw South Brunswick offside.
7 minutes, 15 seconds left in the opening quarter.
Nope.
They snap it.
Oh,
now Simcoe's just
rugby.
Rugby style kick, and it's a good one, Jay, and
kick.
takes a fortuitous Richlands bounce all the way down to the 22-yard line. Jay, let's see, 21 and 28 is a 49-yard kick by Caleb Simcoe. And a good one, kind of flipped the field, right, Jay? Field position, always a key battle, and that's a good, effective play by Richlands.
Yeah, Simcoe kicked him out of trouble that time. Caleb is a 5'10 sophomore. He's joined on this team by his 5'9 junior brother, Owen Simcoe. And Richland didn't do much offensively, but certainly that special teams play, as we all know, is very important to the game. Was a good one for them.
Fakes the handoff, throws it over to Bishop, who's still on his feet. Made a man miss. Coming down the home sideline, brought down finally at the 43-yard line, but a gain of 20 yards and a South Brunswick first down. Prince to Bishop.
Well, Bishop is a tall receiver, 6'2", $180. As I mentioned earlier, 14 catches, 197 yards. As you see it again. He can go up in the air and get the ball, and showed you that time he pretty good runner after he receives.
So Jay, South right in front of us where we are in the press box. Oh, Prince got hit as he released it. Oh, Shrewsbury nearly made an incredible catch down the field. Did a good job probably just to get in the way and make sure that ball wasn't intercepted. And a good job by Prince getting rid of it, Jay, because he took a shot when he released the ball.
Yeah, Jameson on the short end of a long punch that time. So he's not real heavy, $165, but he's tall, and he hung in there and took the hit and delivered a pretty good ball, that's for sure.
Big Mike, I noticed Demarius Wise, big 65 for South Brunswick, and maybe some others are starting on playing both ways, offensive line and defensive line. How difficult is that, particularly early in the season when conditioning still a question mark? Here goes Overton, still on his feet, touchdown, Cougars, a 57-yard scamper from number 23, Ethan Overton, the junior back, strikes first, and the first points of the 2022 regular season accounted for by Ethan Overton. Cougars with a 6-0 lead.
There you get a look at Ethan Overton, a junior, not a big kid as you can tell, 5'6", $155, but he's quick. Last year he gained 62 yards. My goodness, he gained 57 on that one run here. So a terrific way to start his junior season. Look at. He's just going to run away. Number 2, Mummer, trying to catch him but can't.
Just couldn't quite bring him down.
Kick is
blocked. Fielded cleanly in the end zone by Richlands, but in high school football, that is a dead ball, cannot be returned.
Now, Sam, that was interesting that time, I think. On the field goal attempt, it was Dow Pender. On the point after, it was Reynolds Pierce.
Yep.
neither were successful. But what is successful is Ethan Overton with a 57-yard touchdown run, giving South an early 6-0 lead.
So with 6 minutes and 10 seconds left in the opening frame, South Brunswick leads Richlands 6-0. Big Mike, I want to ask you a question. We'll maybe address it when Richlands' offense takes the field. But one thing I noticed when Richlands had the ball for their first 3 offensive plays, it looked like their offensive linemen, at least on the left side, were a good yard apart. Just huge splits on that offensive line. Is that a preference thing for coaches, or run versus pass? Take me through splits on the offensive line and what that can mean.
So typically you want to have standard splits across the line, just because again, on tape, you can kind of start keying in on any kind of differences. My guess is that it's probably because of how big 77, their left guard, is compared to 52, the left tackle. But it's just about scheme. So if you're playing somebody who's a little spread out, like a 3-5 or something like that, where they got wide defensive ends, you want to be a little wider just to kind of create those gaps and get your guys to the blocks. A little tighter sometimes on those schemes where you got 4 down linemen.
Now Pender with the kickoff, fielded cleanly, did a good job coming up and getting it. He's got a crease, partner. And Jay, is that a flag on the field at about the 36-yard line? Oh, it was the kicking tee.
Okay.
It was the kicking tee that rolled out there with number 8 for Richlands. Owen Simcoe walked up and picked it up, and I started to say, no, you want to leave those there, on the field. Maybe trying to pull a fast one, but nope, it was the kicking tee. A good return all the way out to the 43-yard line. And, Jay, it sure is nice doing these games, coming with dessert in hand. Tupperware full of chocolate chip cookies, courtesy of Miss Darius Combs.
Aww,
the lovely wife of the world's greatest color analyst, Jay Combs.
Clearly, I married up, and thank you, Darius, for everything.
Speed option play. He's got a seam, still on his feet, and ended up getting tackled forward from the 50 to the 48-yard line. So a gain of 9 yards. Richlands still looking for their initial first down of the contest as we've hit the 5-minute, 40-second mark here in the first quarter. Jay, will take us through this run by Simcoe.
Well, Simcoe goes left. If there was any option, it was taken away, and kind of holds his feet until he's hit by a bevy of tacklers, including Ian Dwight.
Folks, the expert camera work you see tonight, courtesy of Nathan Evers and Brandon Mayberry of Focus Broadband TV, as Richlands prepares for a 2nd and 1 from the 48-yard line. Simcoe barking out signals, 2 receivers to the top, 1 to the bottom of your screen, 2 backs behind him. They're going to pass. Oh, he had a man just streaking open in the middle of the field. That was number 24, Andon Wilgis, the 6'3", 168-pound wide receiver, but he could not connect with Caleb Simcoe. And, Jay, I love the call on 2nd and 1 from the 48 to kind of let one loose down the field, because you're probably thinking I got 2 running plays to get 1 yard.
It's almost like a free play, and I'll tell you what, if South doesn't put any more pressure on Simcoe than they did that time, Richland could maybe score some points.
5 minutes, 5 seconds on the first quarter clock. 3rd and 1. Dive straight up the middle, enough for the first down. Ian Dwight made the tackle. Jay, that was number 8, Owen Simcoe. Yeah. So that was some Simcoe to Simcoe action there on the handoff, and it was enough for a Richlands first down.
Yeah, it was a nice dive off the left-hand side. Some good action in the front of at the point of attack there in the line.
I knew I shouldn't have mentioned the blue skies on the intro. It's raining again.
Is it coming?
See the umbrellas kind of popping up sporadically as the rain has started to fall again. And for our viewers, if you're in the region today, you know what I'm talking about. It just rained all day. Here's a keeper, Jay. He's got a lot of room around the left side. Makes one man miss and scampers out of bounds at the 31-yard line. A gain of 14 yards by Simcoe and a Richlands first down. Boy, Jay, that keeper just had South Brunswick all out of sorts on the defensive side.
And it was just excellent ball handling on the part of Caleb Simcoe that time. He rode that belly for quite a while and then tucked it away and picked up 14 valuable yards, and more importantly for Richland, a first down.
So after youth football practice this week, I learned we want to call that a mesh.
A
mesh between the Simcoe and the back there.
When I played, it was just a mess. So
close.
Oh, that's a good
Fade
shoulder
route.
fake.
Oh, he nearly made a one-handed catch. That was Wilgis again on the home sideline there, but it falls to the turf incomplete. So Richlands has tried a pair of passing plays on this drive. Wilgis, the intended receiver on both plays, and both times resulted in incomplete passes. So
Sam,
2nd and 10.
I don't know if we mentioned, but Richland coach is Pat Bird, and his dad was one heck of a coach in North Carolina high school, was he not?
Yeah, also Southeastern North Carolina. James Keenan is
Billy Bird.
Yep, Billy Bird, longtime head coach and a successful one in the region. Speed option to the right. And a speed option down. South Brunswick all over it. The Blue Hats checking in on the ball carrier. And, Jay, that is a loss of 10 yards on the speed option play to the right side. That was Caleb Simcoe. He pitched it to his brother, number 8, Owen Simcoe, who was dropped for a loss of 10. And, Jay, what was a promising drive about 40 seconds ago has now turned into a 3rd and 20 with the ball at the 41-yard line of the Cougars of South Brunswick.
Good rush that time by the Cougs. Number 44, Ian Dwight, got the tackle, but the guy that made the play was 22, Seth Pierce, who kind of busted things up, forced Simcoe to toss the ball, which he probably should have just held on to it at that point. But a good defensive play that time by South. Let's see if they can keep it going.
3rd and 20, 3.5 minutes left in the opening quarter. That's picked off, Jade. He's going to have some running room. Being tracked down by offensive lineman, still on his feet. Finally brought down at the 49-yard line in the first turnover produced by the South Brunswick defense. Trying to get a number here on the interception. 24?
I think it may have been
that
24,
Hoagland?
And that would be Brendan Hoagland, yeah. Senior linebacker, 46 tackles here as we see it again, and Brendan running the ball back. He had a good productive year last season for Rocky at Rocky Lewis, 46 total tackles, 4.5 sacks, and comes up with an INT here in the very first quarter.
So South Brunswick with the takeaway, and Howe has excellent starting field position, 1st and 10 at its own 49. And they're going to go for the dagger shot right away, but Prince is tracked down from behind, throws it away, wisely throws it away. So instead of about a 9-yard loss, Prince is able to turn that into an incomplete pass. And, Jay, there's all that experience from last year paying off. Instead of just tucking it and accepting the sack, he was able to throw it in the general area of a receiver and save his team about 10 yards.
Yeah, I think that was Zarion Walters for the Wildcats who applied the big pressure on Prince.
Handoff, and, oh, he got me on the mesh that time. Prince kept it around the left side, picked up about 8 yards on the keeper across the 45 to the 43-yard line, setting up a 3rd and 2 from the 43.
Prince is a dangerous runner, Sam. I'm not sure how many he's going to run away from, but, you know, he reads his blocks, he makes his cuts, he does a good job. Oh.
Now, Jay, that time he did hand the ball off to Overton. And Overton was dropped well behind the line of scrimmage. A loss of 3 or 4 yards on the play sets up a 4th and 6 from the 47.
Yeah, shout out to Samaj Thompson for Richland. Just a sophomore, right? Another youngster making his mark.
Richlands is young, Jay.
Yeah, well, you know, they were 0-8, 0-5 last year, and they only scored 8 points a game, and they gave up 27 a game. So you are not surprised to see some, you know, new guys in there trying to make something happen.
Roll out to the right. He's got a man. Oh, Jay. Number 2, Jordan Davis, had it right in his breadbasket and dropped what was surely to be a South Brunswick touchdown. Prince rolled out to his right. Davis got behind the defense, and maybe a little too open. Just hit him right in the belly, and as he went to turn to run to the end zone, ball just kind of fell down his pads and hit the ground incomplete.
Well, bad news for South, and obviously Jordan makes that catch more often than not. But the good news is, wow, if he can continue to get that wide open, then that could pay dividends for the Cougars as this game progresses.
Mike, did you happen to catch that one? Did he maybe take his eyes off of it before seeing it in, or did you have an angle?
Well, essentially what happened was they brought 3 wides to the right side of the field, and Richlands only had 2 defenders standing there. So they had to play the 2 guys that were up for the first down, and then he went wide or went deep. Unfortunately, just didn't bring it in.
So, Jay, here's one of those situations where the effects of a really good player that might not show up in the box score. Richlands picked up about 4 yards on the running play to the 48-yard line, but there was a South player, number 38, Garrett Frazier, who was tackled in the offensive backfield, and instead of a 4-yard play and a 2nd and 6, Richlands is going to be faced with about a 1st and 21 or 1st and 22 here. And Frazier was right there ready to make a play but got held and couldn't get to the ball carrier.
Yeah, Garrett Frazier has got to be one of the top returning defensive players in all the Mid-East Conference coming back this year.
Positively.
As a senior, 94 tackles last year, 13 tackles for a loss, 8.5 sacks, 6'2", 220 senior. Maybe you can't block him, you tackle him, right, Sam? And that cost the Wildcats on that play.
So we'll call it 1st and 20. Ball is at the Richlands 37-yard line. They need the 43 of South Brunswick for a first down here, but Jay, it still is only first down, so they've got time. Slant pass across the middle of the field, again intended for Wilgis, and falls incomplete. So that will set up a 2nd and 20, 1 minute, 45 seconds left in the opening quarter here. Jay, Richlands just has not been able to connect on the 3 times they've dropped back, and on 2 of those plays in particular, Wilgis was fairly open.
Fairly open, yeah, a catchable, situation for sure, but just not able to connect up.
Big Mike, down on the field, is it wet? Do you think getting a grip on the ball is an issue? It hasn't seemed to be for Prince on the South Brunswick side, but that one kind of came out of Simcoe's hand a little funny.
Anytime you have rain and a wet ball, you're going to have a little bit of that, but I think the referees are doing a pretty good job. The rain's let up a little bit, so I don't think the slickness of the ball really is going to be that big of a deal currently. I think he probably just didn't get a clean release on it.
So South Brunswick leads 6-0. Jay, it was a 57-yard touchdown run by junior running back Ethan Overton. Timeout on the field was from a Richlands offense. So they're going to talk about it in the huddle over on the far side of the field. South Brunswick's defense already back on the turf to prepare for this 2nd down play. It's 2nd and 20. Richlands needs 13 yards to get to midfield, and then another 7 to get to the line to gain at the South Brunswick 43-yard line. Boy, Jay, it's good to be back, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Sam. We waited so long, right? And now we're here, and yeah, it's golly day. It's just part of the seasons, if you will, and.
Yeah, and folks, if we're rusty, there's no one to blame for ourselves. We had a dozen games last weekend to get prepared. There's a good quality play.
Loose
Jay,
ball.
that ball's on the ground.
Loose ball.
That ball's on the ground, and I think Hoagland for South Brunswick may have fallen on it. Nope, Richlands jumped on it. Wow. A big break. That was 25, Isaiah Graham, the junior running back, who fell on the loose ball. And, Jay, it was a pretty good play by Richlands. The inside handoff picked up, about 5 or 6 yards. Going to be 6 yards. It's going to be 3rd and 14 from the Richlands 43-yard line.
Yeah, Brendan Hoagland and number 10, Cooper Creel. That's a great name. We're both around that ball. Almost came up with the fumble.
3rd and 14, ball at the 43. Approaching the 1 minute mark here in the first quarter. Sprint out right. Corner route. Intended for a Richland receiver, number 22, Patrick McCallie, and it falls to the turf incomplete. But, Jay, I think they're going to get Cooper Creel, who you just talked about, with a defensive pass interference penalty. It looked like he beat the receiver there by about a half second and made contact with him before the ball arrived. And the shame of it is, Jay, I think regardless of what Creel did there, the pass was well over the head of the intended receiver. So a big break there for Richlands.
Well, back to your comments earlier on, Sam, about the penalties and how they impact and affect. And in this situation, that penalty is going to take away a fourth down and punting situation,
and that's a
for
first
Richland
down
and give
by
them
a
a
yard.
first down. Yeah.
Yep. So not an automatic first down, but it was 3rd and 14, and the 15-yard penalty gives the Wildcats a first down, 1st and 10 for Richlands at the 42-yard line of the Cougars. Boy, Big Mike, between Garrett Frazier and Demarius Wise, there is some beef on that South Brunswick defensive front.
Exactly, yeah. This is actually the first time I think we're seeing Demarius Wise on the defensive line. South Brunswick, after that first series, kind of switched up, put a little bit of speed on the line instead of the size. So I'm curious to see how Demarius does here. But South Brunswick been playing pretty solid, even with those wide splits and those wide gaps they're making on offense.
That pass complete from Simcoe to number 44, C.J. Mcdonald, the senior receiver. Jay, talk about girth, 6'2", 206 for C.J. Mcdonald. And he kind of maybe bobbled that one, went into right, but then he secured the catch and rumbled down to the 20-yard line, a gain of 22 and a Richlands first down.
Well, big target across the middle, and that's at least the second, if not the third time. Richland has had receivers just come wide open about 10 yards in the middle of the field.
Yep. 35 seconds left in the first quarter, 1st and 10. This is Richland's first trip into the South Brunswick red zone. Two-back gun. Ball's on the ground, and this time the Cougars do recover it. Trying to get a number for you. That is number 42. Sorry, folks. Devin Galladay, the senior defensive lineman, jumps on the loose ball. And, Jay, by the time the words got out of my mouth that it was Richland's first red zone trip, boy, ball security is job security, right? You put it on the ground and bad things happen. So 2 takeaways by the South Brunswick defense in the opening quarter. And Jay, there was no contact there. It was just a failed handoff, right?
Yeah, he just lost the ball, and kudos to South for being alert. Galladay that time, and
hopped right on it, didn't
interception before by Hoagland. So opportunistic defense so far this evening for South Brunswick Cougars.
Gentlemen, I think Demarius Wise made that play. He, at the nose guard position, he went ahead and just drove that center back to the handoff position, probably making the quarterback have to hurry it up.
Michael,
Jay,
that is an excellent observation.
And an excellent play by number 41 there for Richlands. And, Jay, I do not have a 41.
And darned if I do.
But, boy, he made a heck of a play, tackled Overton for a loss of 6 yards. And that is going to bring the first quarter to an end. South Brunswick 6, Richlands 0. We're going to take a short break between the first and second quarter, and we'll be right back and have all the action for you right here on Focus Broadband TV. We're back for the start of the second quarter. South Brunswick facing a 2nd and 16. The ball is marked right at the 15-yard line of the Cougars. Jay, look at this formation. These three receivers kind of in a vertical line straight in the front. It was a screen intended for Overton, but Prince had pressure in his face, like right when he got the snap. Big Mike, I know on screen sometimes the defensive line, comes through and you throw it over their heads, but they got there in a hurry.
Yeah, that was just speed making the play. Yeah, typically on a screen or a draw, you're going to you're just going to kind of chip the defensive line, let them come through so that you can get to the second level. But when the defensive line gets there first, they're going to win.
Jameson Prince.
So on 3rd and 16, South Brunswick keeps it in Prince's hands. He faked the handoff up the middle, carried around the left side, picked up 5 yards, but about 11 yards shy of the line to gain. And, Jay, that's going to bring on 37 Dow Pender and the South Brunswick punt team.
Yep. Pender handles, it looks like, some of the long-distance kicking, and at least early on, Pierce Reynolds had the
Jay bobbled the snap and then just had to get a foot on it. And now it's picked up. Jay, that ball's live. That ball is live. And, boy, number 22, Patrick McCallie, fortunate that he was able to hang on to that ball. All Richlands had to do was stay away from it on the field. It would have been down right there about the 30-yard line or the 28-yard line, and McCallie picked it up. And if he would have lost that ball and South would have recovered, they'd have got a fresh set of downs.
No, if he had lost that ball, he'd had to walk back to Jacksonville tonight. So.
Yeah, guys, he went over to the sideline. He was getting an earful from 2 coaches.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Now, he's a senior, too, so you would expect Patrick, and he probably does know better.
So I know different teams have different calls for those situations, but Ice, I know, was one of them. Peter, they're basically yelling, get away from the ball at all cost. But Richlands holds on, 1st and 10 at the 29. Oh, boy. Simcoe.
Whoa. Who is that?
Miscommunication.
That's
there.
Will Holland.
75, Will Holland.
Mike, he's 6 foot 315 and only in the 11th grade.
2nd and 10.
And Mr. Holland is fired up.
Yeah, well, you don't want
Mr.
that.
Holland's opus.
Here's the thing, guys. As a nose tackle, you don't get to make plays, and he just made one. So yeah, I would be amped as well. You're really just trying to eat the center up, maybe take a guard out too, so the linebackers can have all the glory.
Well, Mr. Holland took about 3 Richlands blockers and the ball carrier.
He had a big bite that time, didn't he?
Yeah, he was doing. He got him that time. Speed option, it looks like, to the left side. He's got some running room. If he could break one tackle, he does just that. Still on his feet, and Jay, I believe it is coming back.
If it does, it's going to negate a good play and a fine run by Mekhi Mack for Richland. Mack, a junior 5'10" running back, plays
now,
some
Jay,
linebacker too.
Here's an interesting one, though. It happens so far down the field, it's not going to, if it is on Richlands, it's not going to get them like a 2nd and 20 situation. It'll back them up close to the original line of scrimmage, but we're still waiting on a call from the White Hat. Maybe a horse collar there? It looked like the ref kind of signaled. No, Richlands is backing up as if it's on the Wildcats.
Well, there's a discussion going on right now, right? Boy, the officials, I had to have some work done on my car today, or truck, and so I was leaving, and a couple of the guys in there know me. He said, "Where are you tonight?" And I said, "Well, we're at South Brunswick." And one of the guys there said, "Are you a referee?" I said, "Oh no, oh no,
Please no.
Please no. Yeah, I am not an official. Of course, I'm not an announcer either, but here I am. So maybe it's interchangeable. I don't know. Well, he said it's
Jay,
on.
what was the signal?
Well, he said it was
against
He
South
called
Brunswick.
it was defensive holding, apparently.
Okay. Defensive holding. I just couldn't quite tell what signal he gave.
Well, to take all that sharp analysis back, right? So we were We were wrong, Sam.
And a good run by Mekhi Mack.
And it
Boy,
turned
I
out
tell you,
yeah.
he's in the early lead for best name of the season. Mekhi Mack,
That's
the
a good
junior
one.
running back.
That's
That
a
is
good one.
So, Jay, most importantly, they've got 1st and goal at the 4-yard line and are 4 yards away from tying this game, and the South Brunswick defense wants to take a timeout to talk about it, and head coach Rocky Lewis is wanting an explanation from the White Hat about the penalty that was called against the Cougars. So, Jay, we are about 13 minutes and 50 seconds into this one as you watch Coach Lewis and the head referee have a discussion. Size this one up for us. It feels like at times it's been dominated by South Brunswick, but Richlands is 4 yards away from potentially tying the game or taking the lead.
Well, I guess the only number that really matters, Sam, is the one you see there in your picture with South Brunswick 6 and Richland number. And, I think we mentioned it last year, these two teams played. South got a victory, but it was only 15-zip, right? So despite what proved to be just a terrible year for the Wildcats last year and what proved to be a very good year for Rocky Lewis and the South Brunswick Cougars in 2021, 6-5, 3-4 in the conference. And if I recall right, they did play North in the first round.
They
right?
did.
And they lost, but nonetheless,
It was a great ball game.
A good game, and Rocky kind of got things heading in the right direction here, fair to say?
I would say he's had it going in the right direction for some time now. And, Jay, we've heard other coaches around the Mid-Eastern Conference just praise the work he's done here time after time.
Gentlemen, we got both big bodies in at the defensive line, just giving that a look.
1st and goal from the 4-yard line, the two-back gun, as we've seen all night from Richlands. Number 1, Caleb Simcoe, barking out directions, gets the snap, off to the right. He's across the goal line for a Richlands touchdown. And, Jay, there was some kind of penalty, and everyone saw it because 2 flags came flying in at the exact same time and almost the exact same spot. So now I'm going to guess that this one is going to be against the Wildcats and back them up outside the 10-yard line. It is a holding penalty against Richlands. So no touchdown with 10:04 left before halftime. Richlands is now going to have to score from about the 13 or 14-yard line. Did you get an eye on the hold there? It looked like maybe the right tackle or somewhere around the right end.
It was holding on number 44. He had the right ends, kind of the V of his shoulder pads. Unfortunately, all he had to do was just stay in his way.
Oh, yeah.
You saw it. Good job, Mike.
Good catch, Mike.
Yeah, and when he broke as wide open as he did, you got to figure the penalty was against them, right? Because Simcoe could just literally walk into the end zone.
So 1st and goal from the 14. Simcoe rolls left. Now he's trying to cut back right. He was nailed at the 12-yard line. Picked up a couple of yards.
Well, look who there. Look who's in there, 75, the big guy, Will Holland, and I believe 65, D. Wise, right, who was using that big balk to bring down the ball carrier.
2nd and goal from the 12-yard line. We have 9.5 minutes left before halftime. South Brunswick 6, Richland 0.
Sam, between Powell and Wise, that's 615 pounds. Oh, my soul.
Man, that is some serious girth. Oh, that's not there. Pretty good play, the speed option to the short side of the field. And I want to rope Big Mike in here one more time. Mike, what are the advantages or disadvantages of running a play with the ball in the right hash and you're running the speed option to the short side of the field?
I mean, mostly you're going to get set up so that more of the defensive bodies are on the left side, so you're trying to catch them a little short-handed, particularly when you have that kind of girth up front. Now 75 just came out of the game, but South has been going pretty heavy stack in this goal line. So, yeah, you're just trying to get to the edge away from most of the defenders.
3rd and goal, ball's at the 11-yard line, 8.5 minutes left in the second quarter. Richlands in the two-back gun. Simcoe's got it. Thought about throwing the swing route. Now he's in big trouble, and guess who 38. Garrett Frazier brings him down back at the 19-yard line. So, Jay, instead of a 4th and goal from the 11, it's a sack, and it'll be 4th and goal from the 19, and it would be a 36-yard field goal from here. Let's watch this one again.
Yeah, Garrett Frazier, senior linebacker, 13 and a half sacks last year. Maybe this is number 1 for 2022, and the first of a whole bunch for South Brunswick this year. Frazier is a stud.
That he is indeed. We did not see him last week against South Columbus High School in the Bash at the Beach football jamboree. Jay Richlands leaving the offense on the field.
Well, maybe we don't know what kind of kicking game they have. Or wow.
Pass is intercepted right to Hoagland again. That's his 2nd pick of the night, still on his feet. And, Jay, I don't know what happened before the play. I don't know if South Brunswick only had 10 players on the field or what, but the coaches were doing whatever they could to get the attention of somebody on the defense or a referee or call a timeout. And I don't know what happened, but there was a miscommunication, but it ended up resulting in an interception. Hoagland's 2nd of the night.
Yeah, well, there was some miscommunication on the Richlands side as well. The receiver had kind of turned out. That ball clearly thrown in, and, Hoagland's not going to drop that one. So he picks up interception number 2 for the game this evening, and he's probably leading the area in interceptions already.
And, Jay, when the receiver turned out, he came open.
He was wide open.
He was all alone. He was all alone, but the pass was thrown to the inside, well away from the intended receiver. It was picked off, and, Jay, I think I may have cracked the code. I think the South Brunswick sideline was claiming that the play clock had expired.
Okay.
But what had happened was I think it was not operating, and it was showing 0, but it had always been showing 0. Not necessarily that the play clock had expired. It just hadn't been working leading up to that moment.
I think Jameson's going up top. I think.
Just to throw in a comment there, lucky break for South. They got the interception, and luckily he was able to get back to the line of scrimmage. You don't really want to catch those on 4th down.
Yep, Mike, tough, especially for a young defensive back to kind of have one coming right to you and to just bat it down to the turf, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what do you expect, man? You get big eyes. You never get to make those kind of plays, or rarely ever. So, yeah, you're going to want to grab it, but you got to bat that down, because if you don't, you tip it up, something happens, it could be a touchdown.
Boy, Overton got bent up kind of awkwardly there in the hole, Jay, but not before a pickup of 5 yards to set up a 2nd and 5. And we have 7 minutes left in the 2nd quarter. South Brunswick leading 6-0.
Ethan, kind of a diminutive one at 155 pounds, but another 10. He'll be like Danny Parker last year, about the same size, right?
Jay, South snapped it. No one was ready. And now that's picked off. Prince throws a pick. Richlands now with the takeaway. Number 2, Nate Mummert jumps in front of Davis, the intended receiver, picks it off, returns it inside the 40-yard line of the Cougars. So the 3rd turnover of the night, first by South Brunswick. And, boy, Jay, just a lot going on in this last couple minutes of this one.
Yeah, it looked like kind of a casual throw that time by Jameson Prince. And number 2, Nate Mummert, the sophomore defensive back for the Wildcats, made him pay.
Jay, you could kind of see it developing. Davis got behind the corner, and right as Prince let it go, the safety rolled over, jumped in front of him, and came up with the interception.
Well, good play for Mummert, good play for the Wildcats. And despite all the things going back, they're only down 6-0, Sam, with all kinds of time left here in the 2nd period tonight.
So 1st and 10, Richlands. Ball is at the 37-yard line of the Cougars. Number 1, Caleb Simcoe, the signal caller for the Wildcats. 2-back gun. There's the snap. That's Mack on the carry.
Wow.
Frazier, man.
Is that him again?
Frazier's just so good. No, that was not. Yeah, it was. It was 38.
Boy, that is a nice open field tackle by the big guy, Garrett Frazier. He had, as I mentioned, 94 total tackles last year, and 13 for a loss and 8.5 sacks. And you're starting to, get a little glimpse why this guy is one of the premier defensive players in the Mideast Conference.
Mike, can an elite defensive end like Garrett Frazier just totally wreck a game plan?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he made that guy miss, and so when you're running those sweeps, you're hoping the wide receiver gets a good kick-out block on the defensive back. And, he made that whoever was coming across just miss, and he just ate him up because at that point it's 2-on-1.
Oh, who got a hand on that?
22 got an initial hand on it. That was Seth Pierce. And then number 11, Zane Simmons, kind of sailed over his head at the very end after the deflection. And, Jay, if that pass would have been a little bit higher, I believe the Richlands had another open receiver. It was just a tough throw to get it over the linebacker and in front of the defensive back there.
Pierce had a good drop that time and did a great job of getting his hands in the air and, deflecting it and affecting the direction of that ball.
So 3rd and 16. Ball is at the 43-yard line of the Cougars. Man in motion. That pass falls to the turf incomplete, intended for number 24, Andon Wilgis. And, Jay, you got to think with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left before halftime, I know they're in the 43 on south side of the field, but with 4th and 16, you think they're snapping this to Simcoe for another kick here?
Well, maybe. He did a good job earlier in the first quarter. Sam, on that last play, Seth Pierce, was it, 22, came up, and Will just probably heard a little something.
That was Simmons.
Oh, Simmons, okay.
Simmons on the hit. Speaking of Simmons, that punt sails over his head, bounces out of bounds, looks to be right about the 21 or 22-yard line. So a punt of about 22 yards, and South Brunswick's offense will come back on the field. And, Jay, how about the job there by the South Brunswick defense? You throw an interception, Richland starts 1st and 10 inside your 40-yard line, and you force them backwards and a 3-and-out.
Well, they did an excellent job on that possession, and that might be giving their offense a little, motivation to at least move this ball down the field. It's been up in the south area for much of this second period.
It has indeed. So South 1st and 10, and it's on 21-yard line. Prince going to sprint out to the right. Jay looks like he wants to keep it. And, he took a big lick behind the line of scrimmage at the, say, 18-yard line or the 19-yard line, a loss of 2, and that will set up a 2nd and 12. So, Jay, the last 2 or 3 possessions, it's been the South Brunswick offense that's been just a tad bit out of sorts.
Well, and credit Richland for, tightening things up a little bit defensively. That time, Mcdonald in on the play.
False start on South Brunswick is going to be the call. And, Jay, how quickly things can change in this game. If you remember about 15 minutes ago in real time, Jordan Davis dropped what was a surefire South Brunswick touchdown. Would have put them up 12-0 with an extra point, 13. And instead, it was a turnover on downs. And since then, South Brunswick's offense just hasn't quite gelled.
Well, I don't think they've, as I said, haven't been able to get off their own side of the field since then, Sam. So you're
another
right
false start.
Another one.
The right guard just kind of his head bobbled just a little bit right before the snap.
It's, is that 56? Is that number 56 on that penalty? That's no penalty if that's Caleb Combs.
I think it's 6.
Oh, okay.
No, not on Mr. Is that Caleb, Jay, or Luke? The battle of the Combses.
Well, I can tell you who's in 3rd place there, so I'll let Caleb and Luke fight it out.
2nd and 22.
Should have something.
Pass deep down the field, off the hands of Bishop, and incomplete, an absolute dime from number 7, Jameson Prince. And that is the 2nd deep pass attempt of the night for South Brunswick. That was right off the hands of the intended receiver.
Well thrown ball, great pass protection that time by that South Brunswick offensive line. And, Prince's numbers don't look so good at this time in the game, but a lot of that's because of some dropped passes.
Handoff to Overton. He is dropped inside the South Brunswick 10-yard line. He lost yardage back to the 8. So, Jay, now you've got number 37, Dal Pender, punting probably – if the ball's at the 8, he's probably standing about the middle of the end zone. So last time he dropped the long snap and got off about a 10-yard punt. So an opportunity here for Richlands.
Yeah, Coach Lewis needs Dow to execute here.
Pender catches that one cleanly and gets off a great kick.
There you go. There you go.
And Owen Simcoe wisely got out of the way. And, boy, what a kick that was. 42 yards to midfield plus another 13, a 55-yard punt by Dal Pender. So, Jay, 2 punts by Dal Pender tonight. One traveled 11 yards and one traveled 55, an average of 33. But, boy, that was surely a good one there.
Well, the Cougs needed it that time, and a lot of players on the sidelines are coming over and smacking Pender on the helmet, on the shoulder pads. That was a great kick, and field possession is so important. And clearly that time Pender kicked them out of trouble, Sam.
Sure did. Just a booming kick and took a great bounce for South Brunswick. I mean, it was a good kick either way, but got an additional about 20 yards of roll. So Richlands takes over 1st and 10 at its own 37-yard line. 2 receivers to the top, 1 to the bottom. Simcoe again in the 2-back gun.
Looks like the little guys are in there now for South on that line.
Oh,
Broke
boy,
a tackle.
what a run.
Who that?
Boy, Jay, that is number 25. Isaiah Graham just ran through a South Brunswick defender and around the line of scrimmage and got out to the 47-yard line. Jay, we're waiting on a signal. It's right at the marker, right at it.
I think he
first down.
He hit
First down.
He hit Hoagland. Graham did dead on that time, and Brandon a very good tackler.
Guys, he actually ran into his left guard before he ran over that South player.
Jeez.
So pretty impressive power from the running back there.
Another good surge by the Richlands offensive line. Jay, that's a pickup of 6 yards on first down. Jay, was there a fumble?
It must have been.
It is. It's South Brunswick football.
Well,
Boy, after a 10-yard run on first down, a 6-yard gash on second down, and another turnover, the third of the first half by the Richlands offense. And South Brunswick takes over now 1st and 10 at its own 48.
Yeah, I'm not sure who gets credit for the fumble recovery, but
let's give it to Hoagland so he could have all the takeaways.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I was watching Frazier on the bottom of that pile that time, and it looked like he was swatting bees or something, trying to get guys off of him.
So 1st and 10, play action pass this time caught by Jordan Davis. Took a big hit and lost his helmet.
Who that?
23, Damian Hall, the 6 foot, 195 pound.
There's a hit of the night,
defensive back dropped Davis after a gain of a yard. Let's look at this one again, folks.
Yeah, just a little simple toss to the outside. He catches number 2, Davis, but then Davis is caught and really caught by Damian Hall.
Oh, look at Ethan Overton draggling would-be tacklers across the 40 to the 38-yard, and we got a late flag in on the play. I did not get a look. Face mask. It's a face mask. They're signaling face mask penalty against Richlands. And, boy, Overton, small in stature, but not in strength, just dragging tacklers inside the 40-yard line of the Wildcats.
Well, I hate to keep comparing to Danny Parker last year, but I think there are some similarities. Danny, kind of a short guy, but, put together pretty well, and I think eventually Overton may be the same thing. He's listed 5'6", $155, but that same kind of strength and moving those legs and trying to go north-south, reminiscent of the kind of season and seasons that Danny Parker had for South. Last year, 1,603 all-purpose yards and a whole bunch of touchdowns.
Pump fake. Oh, he got hit as he threw.
Ooh.
Boy, Jay, I thought 41 over there. Is that Julian Thiel?
41
Might
is
had a
indeed
chance at it,
Thiel,
but it was
yes.
over the head of the intended receiver and incomplete.
Yeah, if he had not missed so badly that time, I think it'd be 6'6".
Big Mike, take it away. Mauer hour.
Oh, I was going to say we have a flag down on the Brunswick sideline here. Not quite sure what for. I'm not sure if it was inadvertent or what. It must have just fallen out. Never mind.
No, Jay, Mike, they're walking off yardage.
All right. How about that? No idea what that would be because it was right on the sideline.
A procedure penalty, maybe someone just lined up, not on the line of scrimmage, or the receiver was covered, or the tight end was covered up, or something. And yes, that is a guess, folks. So 1st and 15, ball's at the 38-yard line. Jay, we're approaching the latter stages of the second quarter. 2 minutes, 31 seconds left before halftime in what's turned out to be a beautiful night in BSL.
And what's turned out to be a defensive battle. I'm not sure any of us thought it would be that coming in.
Just like last year, right? 15-0. That's a low-scoring affair. Prince rolls out to the right.
Pressure, he is done.
Nobody.
He is done.
Brought down at the 49-yard line, a loss of 11 yards on 1st and 15. That's going to set up a 2nd and 26. And, Jay, more importantly, Prince is coming up hobbling.
The Richland defensive line, guys, has really been holding that team in this game between the turnovers on offense and how wide open some of the South receivers have been. The defensive line is really the star of the show right now.
And that was Samaj Thompson, a sophomore defensive player for Richland, leading the charge.
Play action. Deep down the sideline, he's got Shrewsbury out of bounds. No, it's a catch. Shrewsbury brought it in at the 10-yard line, a gain of 35 yards and a South Brunswick first down. Huge play.
That's what I thought they were going to do the last series. It just seemed to me that you could tell Prince is getting a little anxious. Let's go up top, and sooner or later one of my guys is going to come down with the ball. And that time it's the leading returning receiver, senior Mike Shrewsbury, who makes a nice catch and is able to stay in bounds, and we got a timeout. So.
Richlands calls a timeout with 1:42. Jay, how about this throw?
Makes a difference when you have some time, Sam, and Prince lofts it up, and
Jay, I'm not sure at what point he was in bounds there. But
I don't
let's
know. I think Aaron's
can
going
we
to give
get
us another look
can we
at
get
it.
another look
Maybe
at it?
the Wizard of Aaron Varnum. Well, you just got to get one, right?
Yep, high school, 1 foot, so that foot must have still been in bounds when he collected it, but a good concentration by Shrewsbury to haul that one in and get a foot down. So a 1st and goal from the 10-yard line for South Brunswick. 1:42 left before halftime.
You know, a score here would be really important for the Cougars to, tack another touchdown and hopefully the extra point.
I just want to go ahead and give a shout-out about Michael Shrewsbury. He does play for the Cape Fear Youth Rugby Club.
Hey, rugby and football, huh? Tough guy. 1st and goal from the 10. Prince drops back. Got pressure in his
23
face.
open.
Had Overton open, but a good open field tackle over there. Jay, is that 41 Teal?
That is Thiel, I believe.
Thiel,
Sam.
sorry,
yeah,
folks.
and rain's starting to come down a little bit.
Oh, wait, Jay, every time it looks like we're going to get a little break, it comes again. So pass was complete for no gain, sets up a 2nd and goal from the 10. This time, Prince is going to roll out to his left. He's got a man off his hands and incomplete. That pass was intended for number 8, Basil Abrams. The incomplete pass stops the clock with 1:11 before halftime.
Prince has got some targets, receiving targets on this year's team, and it's been a long time since he went to Abram. He got him early in the first quarter, but I don't remember another pass to him until then. And there you see the rain. How's our guy Mike down there in this? I know he's got some boots on, Sam.
I actually took the boots off, Jay.
Oh, ball's on the ground.
But the rain is picking up pretty aggressively here down in the red zone. Good job by the quarterback for South, throwing the ball where only his receivers can get it. He had 2 guys open down here, but keeping it towards the sideline and away from the defenders, particularly in this kind of weather, is super important.
Yep.
Boy, Mike, I tell you, that South Brunswick offensive front is having a tough time with the Richlands defensive line the last, quarter and a half maybe?
Yeah, like I said, the Richlands defensive line, they aren't very large, particularly compared to the South offensive line, but the speed that they're having and the way they can kind of shed the blocks, and even on the screens and the draws that they're running, just able to get upfield before the play can kind of take shape.
So it is a 4th and goal from the 14-yard line. And, Jay, you got to think South Brunswick is going to bring in their field goal kicking unit. And, Jay, the way the South Brunswick defense has played against Richlands, this is a very big kick because it does what? It's going to make it a 2-possession game. And you think Richlands has had a couple of scoring opportunities, got to the 20 once, got to the 4 another time for a turnover on downs. But a field goal here that's converted will make it 9-0. And the way South Brunswick has played defense, you got to like your chances if you're Rocky Lewis, even though there's a lot of game left.
Well, we mentioned a couple of times about Danny Parker, who had such a fine career here at South. Well, that's his younger brother, Nate Parker, who is the holder for point afters and field goals.
And it's a wet ball. Good snap.
He got
good
that
hold.
one. He got that one.
The kick is up, and the kick is good. Dow Pender from 31 yards out knocks it through the uprights to give the Cougars a 9-0 lead with 37 seconds left here before halftime on your Focus Broadband TV Game of the Week.
Sam Hickman, how far was that field goal?
31.
Wow, it went a lot further than 31 yards.
Yep, snap from the 14 to the 21, and then add 10 for the end zone.
You know, for a guy who got off to a little bit of a rough start kicking tonight, he has really turned it around here in the second quarter.
So, Jay, his last 2 kicks, so to speak, were a 55-yard punt that totally flipped the field and a 31-yard field goal in which he split the uprights to give the Cougars a 2-possession lead at 9-0.
Look at that shine on Rocky's head. That looked pretty good, huh?
Stud. 37 seconds left before halftime.
Sam, I think this might be the only game in town tonight due to all the bad weather.
There's one going down in
did West go
Carolina
down?
Forest.
Okay.
Trojans down 7-0 in the first quarter of that one.
Okay.
Wow, look at that kick.
Another good kick.
And, Jay, initially we were scheduled to call the North Brunswick at Whiteville game. That game was rescheduled to tomorrow at noon. So how about that Saturday noon kickoff? Can we get game day there?
And interestingly, it's going to be played at North and not Whiteville because of the field.
I didn't realize that. So again, the turf field's coming in handy there.
Yeah, I can't imagine JP too happy about that, but it probably either do it that way or you're not going to play at all.
JP's got to lay some turf down there.
And he could do it all by himself.
Yes, he could.
Yeah, he don't need no labor help.
Yes, he could.
Not with them guns he's got.
So Jay, add a touchback to Dow Pender's night kicking. He boomed that one through the end zone.
Start a game here in the second quarter is Dow Pender.
No doubt. Having a nice night. South Brunswick didn't have the right personnel on the field. So Richlands just calls the snap, throws a swing route, but loses 3 yards, back to the 17-yard line.
That's Ian Dwight. And this, you know what, Sam? He's kind of, a little under the radar, but this kid can play.
He can play. He does not shy away from contact. He's got about a half dozen tackles so far here tonight. And, Jay, that was the last time out, if I'm not mistaken, of the first half for South Brunswick. You think Richlands would be wise to maybe just take this one, take a knee, and let's get into the halftime break?
I absolutely do. I mean, I know they're down 9, 2 possessions technically, but still, you're only down a couple of scores like that. You're very much in the game. And I would think they would be most happy to get into the locker room, dry out a little bit, and get things going for the second half. You know, Dwight, you say he's kind of under the radar, but you know, last year he wasn't under the radar. 68 total tackles in his junior year, and he is off to a splendid start this season.
2nd and 13 from the 17-yard line. 28 seconds left before halftime. Richlands just going to hand it off. And the ball carrier is dropped at the 21-yard line, a gain of about 4 yards there, 3 or 4 yards. And, Jay, with 15 seconds left, that may take us right into the halftime break. Wrap up the first half for us quickly, partner.
Well, defense on the part of both teams. And then, you know, two interceptions and a fumble recovery for South has kind of set the pace here in a defensive battle, 9-zip South Brunswick.
So, Jay, a lot like the game last year between these two teams. South Brunswick offense did just enough. Defense so far pitching a shutout. After 24 minutes of game action on your Focus Broadband TV Game of the Week, it's South Brunswick 9, Richlands 0. We'll be back for the second half.
We are a volunteer group that provide, basically we're called the Shallow Water Rescue Service for Oak Island and actually part of Brunswick County. Because we have shallow water boats, we can go into places where the Coast Guard can't go. Most of our calls come during the summertime, starting in the middle of June till the end of September. A lot of our vehicles were older. The truck that we're replacing, the SUV, is a 2005. Even though it doesn't have mileage, because it's in this salt environment, it's starting to deteriorate, and we have to be able to rely on it. When we have a call, we don't want to have to question, oh, is it going to make it there, or are we going to have brake issues? And so we rely on people like Focus and our donations to help us get these vehicles so that we can still provide the service that they want us to provide. Time is of the essence. We can't not have a vehicle start or have a brake issue when we start getting dispatched. If somebody's caught in a rip current, they don't have the luxury of waiting. It feels that they value our service and they're putting back into the public knowing that we provide a service that's valuable to Focus's customer base. I mean, our goal is to make sure everybody goes home safely. Come here, enjoy the beach, be safe, and it's great when a company like Focus helps with monies so that we can still provide that service.
And we're back for the start of the second half on your Focus Broadband TV high school football game of the week. South Brunswick leading Richlands High School 9-0. Jay, it was a defensive slugfest. South Brunswick forced 3 Richlands turnovers. Richlands picked off a Jameson Prince pass, but a 57-yard touchdown run by Ethan Overton and a 31-yard Dow Pender field goal. The difference in this one, South Brunswick leading by 9.
That pretty much sums it up, Sam. That explosive start offensively with Overton's long run, but then it kind of settled down into a back-and-forth defensive effort, and I guess the featuring 3 turnovers on the part of Richland, that Brendan Hoagland with a pair of interceptions and Devin Galladay with a fumble recovery. And then in that second quarter, senior kicker Dow Pender was really the difference. I mean, kicked them out of trouble a couple of times, punting and hit a field goal, and really had a splendid special teams effort in the second quarter.
Jay, literally, right as you said, splendid special teams effort. The kickoff rolled out of bounds, and Richlands will get good starting field position to begin the second half.
Keep my yaps shut, you know.
Never.
Sam,
never, because if you do, that means more Sam talking, which means a decrease in viewership.
Well, we got Big Mike now, so he's a great balance, right, for all of us. Hey, Sam, not a lot of games in the area because of the weather. In fact, a couple of them were moved to Thursday night, one of which Hoagland got off to a good start. Surprise, surprise. 42-16 win over Jacksonville. And that quarterback we saw at the Bash, Hudson Wilhelm, 20 of 23. 227 yards.
Wow.
And 4 touchdowns.
Wow. Huddy.
Pretty good start for QB Hudson Wilhelm and the Vikings of Hoagland High.
Jay, that's got to be close to a perfect QB rating. 2 incomplete passes, 4 touchdowns. When you've got double the touchdowns to incompletions, you had a pretty good night.
That's a fair night, yeah.
A good start on the ground for Richlands. And, Jay, I thought we might see more of that in the first half. It seemed like Richlands had a lot of success running between the tackles, just didn't do a whole lot of it in the first half.
Yeah, they kind of throwing jabs when they really needed to throw a cross or a stronger punch, if you will, and maybe an uppercut. But yeah, they're probably not going to be successful with little 3- and 4-yard gains.
Good run there, enough for first down yardage out across the 45-yard line to the 46, a gain of 5 and a first down for the Wildcats.
Trying to find out who the ball carrier was there, Sam, but whoever. Well,
that's
Owen Simcoe, the brother of the quarterback, Caleb, and he did a nice job that time because he absorbed a big first hit that kept them legs moving, spun, and fell forward. So good effort by Owen Simcoe, 5'9" junior.
Mike, what's your ball carrier doing there? Is he high and tight and then, feeling the contact, covering it up with both arms, or how do you protect the ball, particularly on a night when the ball's wet like it is tonight?
Yeah, so far, Richlands has been kind of keeping it real tight, particularly after those 2 fumbles. Good job by South, though. They've been standing up Richlands pretty well. I'm pretty sure that's what caused the 2 fumbles in the first half. So keep an eye out for that.
Excellent read that time by Caleb Simcoe. He identified the contained person for South, and when he didn't come at him, he kept the ball and circled around the left side and picked up, 7-8 yards, Sam?
So, Jay, that's 3 plays, and they've picked up about 18 yards on those 3 plays, have the Wildcats of Richlands. Simcoe in the 2-back gun, 2 receivers to the top of your screen, 1 to the bottom. He's going to keep it. Oh, he somehow stayed on his feet and almost got back to the line of scrimmage, did end up losing a yard. Great pursuit by the South Brunswick defense there to drop Caleb Simcoe for a loss of 1 yard to set up a 3rd and 4 from the 48-yard line. The Wildcats need the 44 for a first down.
I think that was Ian Dwight on the immediate hit, and Simcoe kind of spun away from him, but then lots of help from the blue-shirted Cougars to bring him down.
Big 3rd and 4 play, a promising drive here for Richlands to start the second half. We're at the 9-minute, 53-second mark in the third quarter. Richlands down by 2 scores, 9-0. Boy, that pass was thrown into all kinds of traffic. Number 10, Cooper Krill, was one of the defenders there, and that would have been a heck of a catch by 22, Patrick McCallie, but it hits the turf and falls incomplete.
I think McCallie was lobbying for a flag that time from the officials, but did not get it. So 4th down situation for the Wildcats, and what we've seen so far tonight in these situations, number 1, the quarterback Caleb Simcoe does one of those rugby kind of kicks, and he's done pretty well doing it.
I will say, Jay, so on their punt coverage, they bring their left tackle over to the right. Maybe not tonight because of the weather, but that's definitely going to help them later in the season. If they get into 4th and short, they'll be able to kind of just take it and run.
Another excellent observation by the Hour of Power, Michael Maurer.
So the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour.
Oh,
Tony
man.
Atlas in the house.
I am so old.
Jay, an excellent punt right there.
Yeah,
an excellent punt right there by Simcoe. It took a hard bounce about the 22-yard line and then angled out of bounds at the 14. So South Brunswick kind of backed up against its own 10-yard line here on the Cougars' first possession of the second half. Prince nowhere to go.
That play kind of looked
busted from the start.
Yeah, it did. It was kind of a wobbly snap, was it not, Sam?
Yeah, loss of 4 yards on first down. And Jay, it's since early on, it's kind of been feast or famine for the South Brunswick offense. We've seen a couple long completions on pass plays, but nothing, no real sustained drives.
Nothing, and I think you could say the same thing about Richland. No sustained drives, and they didn't have any big plays.
He's down again. Another loss of yardage. I mean, South is just finding no success in the running game. That's a loss of yardage back to the 9-yard line to set up a 3rd and 15 for the Cougars. And Jay, it doesn't matter how effectively you throw the football. 3rd and 15, not a down and distance you want to be in as Richland's defensive front continues to own the trenches.
But particularly where they are on the field, you got to be real careful here.
Post route across the middle of the field. It's Davis. He might be gone. He's got one man to outrun. It's a foot race to the 20. He's going to score. Touchdown. Jameson Prince to Jordan Davis. A 91-yard pitch and catch from Prince to Davis. And the Cougars have taken a 15-0 lead. Little more than 8 minutes left here in the third quarter.
Well, is there anybody out there that feels better now than Jordan Davis, because he's dropped a couple, but not this one. Has time to throw. That's a big factor. And delivers a strike, and then some poor tackling by Richland. And number 2, Jordan Davis, the 6'3 junior, just outraces everybody to the end zone. Nice effort by South Brunswick.
So extra point kicker, Reynolds Pierce in. And he knocks it through, right through the middle. How about that, Jay? First down snap, loss of 4. Second down snap, loss of 1. 3rd and 15 from your own 9. Post route to Jordan Davis, and he outruns everyone for a 91-yard touchdown to give the Cougars a 16-0 advantage.
And Sam, I think we just got finished saying that one of the key differences between the two teams tonight is the lack of the big play on the part of Richland. That's the second huge offensive play that South Brunswick, the 57-yard run by Overton, and then the 91-yard pass and run by Prince to Davis, and a 16-0 South Brunswick lead.
Jordan Davis, and Jay, that was an excellent point you made after dropping a touchdown earlier in the game. Boy, that had to feel really good for number 2.
And it helps Jameson Prince's numbers a little bit as well.
Yeah, Jay, South Brunswick beat Richlands 15-0 a year ago and lead 16-0 here tonight. That's a high kick Fielded cleanly by the Wildcats, and a good tackle by number 10, Cooper Creel. Tracks him down and brings him down. That was number 7, the return man, Amonte Bowman. I don't remember calling his name thus far tonight, but Bowman fielded it, returned it out to about the 27-yard line.
Sam Hickman, you're talking about cool names earlier, and rightfully so when you talked about Mekhi Mack for Richland, but I kind of like Cooper Creel. There's just kind of rolls off, and there's another guy that's played a little bit for South tonight, a sophomore, Bennett Ballantyne.
Ooh,
Bennett,
double B's.
the banger Ballantyne.
And
right?
we got a good name on our crew, Mike Maurer.
Oh, yeah.
Eminem.
What is it? It's the Hour of Power or the Tower of Power?
Tower of Power,
Okay.
Too sweet to be sour.
Loose
bad
loose
idea.
ball.
Bad idea as he pitched it while he was being hit. And Jay Simcoe, I thought he was hurt. I think he was just frustrated. Kind of pounded both hands into the artificial turf here. Loss of about 4 yards. 5 yards. Ball was originally snapped from the 27 all the way back to about the 22 or 21. We'll call it a loss of 6 on the play. Sets up a 2nd and 16.
And Sam, another one of those young guys for Rocky Lewis this year. Number 3, Keyshawn Mcclinton, only a 10th grader, but he was in on the stop that time.
8:04 left in the third quarter. Richlands trails 16-0. Simcoe rolls to his left, fires a corner route.
Ooh.
Cooper Creel jumps in front of the receiver and bats down the pass. So Creel all over the place on this possession. And Jay, that looked like a pretty well-thrown ball by Simcoe. Creel just made a great break on the ball to bat it down.
He came up on the ball at the right time. And by the way, we're talking about young kids, as we did with Ballantyne, but Creel only a sophomore as well. So Rocky's got a lot of good young players that are contributing here this evening. And the Cougars are roaring out there, or is that NASCAR? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Maybe some combination of both.
Okay.
3rd and 16. Ball is at the 21-yard line. Swing route is caught over there. Makes one man miss, Jay. He's got a lot of running room. The swing pass all the way out to the 40 or 39-yard line. The biggest play of the night for the Richlands Wildcats. And boy, Jay, did they need that on 3rd and 16. Let's see, Jay, 29 to midfield plus another 11. A 40-yard pitch and catch.
So that's Damian Hall, I believe, and he's ridden down by Brendan Hoagland. But, you know, again, there's first kind of big play for Richlands here this evening.
40 yards on the swing pass to Hall from Simcoe, and Richlands in business now. 1st and 10 inside the 40 at the 39-yard line. Is that Mack?
Wow.
Mack with a big run. Jay, look at him pushing the pile inside the 30, finally brought down at the 26-yard line, a gain of 13 and a first down for the Wildcats.
Yeah, Mack is 5'10". He's a junior, but they don't tell you how much he weighs. But on that play, man, he looked like a big boy the way he was plowing through that line and carrying tacklers on his back to pick up another first down for the Wildcats of Richlands. Coach Pat Bird got to be happy about this offensive possession here in the third quarter.
So signs of offensive life for Richlands. Back-to-back plays pick up about a combined 55 yards, 40 yards on the swing route, and then about another 15 there. This time, the Cougars were having none of it. Guess who? Big 6'5", D. Wise brings down the ball carrier in one fell swoop, no gain on the play.
Demarius, such a big guy, such a entertaining young man, right?
A lot of fun, isn't he?
Lot of fun, and boy, he puts on the pads, and he does an awful good job out on the football field. Wise last year, 83 total tackles, 3.5 sacks, 6'3", 3 Bills. Big guy, heck of a nice guy.
2nd and 10 for Richlands. Ball is at the 26-yard line. Sweep to the left and maybe picked up a yard on the play. And got to the 25 as we're all the way to the 5-minute and 55-second mark of the third quarter here on our first regular season game of the season on Focus Broadband TV. Jake Holmes in midseason form, joined this year by best sideline reporter in the business, Mike Maurer.
Well,
Mike, how's the weather out there in the third quarter?
It started out pretty rainy, but it's definitely slowed up. We're down to a very, very light drizzle, if anything.
Sam, thank you for the mid-season form, compliment. But holy moly, we did like 3 seasons last week, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a lot of football. A lot of football last week. This is going to be a pass. Oh, he caught it. He fit it in there somehow.
Finally.
To number 44. That is C.J. Mcdonald, the 206-pound wide receiver. And, Jay, what a throw by Simcoe. I mean, that ball just stuck to McDonald's shoulder pads there.
Well, they've had that play several times this evening, but this is the first time.
I mean, guys, look at that window. That is a tight window. McDonald caught the ball and Cooper Creel's right arm right there. Creel went in there to try and knock it down and kind of got his arm caught up.
Well thrown ball and very nice concentration and focus that time by McDonald.
First and goal, ball's at the 10-yard line. Richlands trying to get on the board. They got a little seam there. That's Owen Simcoe fighting his way toward the goal line. He's down at the 1, a gain of 9 yards.
Well, Sam, remember last year, this is a team, I think they scored 64 points in the entire season, and they played 8 games, so they averaged 8 points a game. Scoring has not come easy for the Wildcats, at least in 2021, but they're on the verge of maybe getting off the slide here for 2022 inside or right around the 1-yard line.
Second and goal from the 1-yard line. Definitely the best scoring opportunity of the night. Richlands got to the South 4 in the second quarter. Now they got a second and goal from the 1. Remember, Jay, they did score on a play, but it was called back on a holding penalty. So Richlands can ill afford any yellow hankies on the field.
Oh, and there's
here.
one.
And I think they just got one.
And I think it's nope.
Delay a game. Boy, Jay, that is just a killer.
When you're out there, out there under center or looking for the snap, the long snap, it's one thing when you're out at the 50-yard line. It's another thing when you're on the 1-yard line.
Yeah,
things change a little bit, and that heart starts beating a little bit faster, and wanting to make sure they got the right play called. So move it back 5 makes their job a lot more difficult. They got to really do a good job of staying away from penalties and maintaining possession.
Oh, Jay, right on cue, partner. Simcoe somehow went and tracked down the ball and kept his feet. But, Mike, just a disastrous turn of events by Richlands. Second and goal from the 1 has turned into third and goal from about the 16, 15-yard line. What went wrong the last 60 seconds for the Wildcats?
Well, like you guys said, penalties are a game changer, drive killer, right? So interesting thing about this defensive setup with South, Demarius Wise has been in the whole time here at nose guard. He's made a couple plays early in the drive, but they kind of capitalized on some of his aggressiveness. They ran a counter play, and that got him to the goal line. And now with a penalty and a fumble, it's turned the other way for sure.
So third and goal from the 15-yard line. Richlands has been to the 4-yard line and had a touchdown called back by a holding penalty, and now had second and goal in the 1, followed by a delay of game and a bad snap that cost them 9 yards and a prime scoring chance. But can salvage all that right here, Jay, with a scoring play. Incomplete pass.
One that Caleb Simcoe would dearly love to have back. That one, it looked like it maybe just slipped out of his hand, Sam.
Jay, I think they're going to try a 32-yard field goal here. I believe the place kicker is 27, Chris Exley. This would pull Richlands within 13 points, but Jay Richlands would still need 2 touchdowns. But, I mean, you know, how likely are you to convert a 4th and goal from the 15 going for it? So I'm not sure if you like this call, but they're going to try the field goal, it appears. Good snap, good hold. The kick is up. Exley's got a great leg, and it is good. So Richlands does something it could not do a year ago against this South Brunswick team, and that's get points on the scoreboard. So the field goal is good with 2:51 left in the third quarter. Richlands trims its deficit to 16-3. But Jay, overall, a really nice drive by Richlands. Just shot themselves in the foot before the second and goal play from the 1.
Yeah, foot shooting can hurt in more ways than one. And certainly as a description in football, we know exactly what you mean. But, you know, try to gain something out of that silver lining. And that cloud possession was Exley with an excellent kick. What was that field goal from, Sam?
It was a 32-yarder.
32. Okay.
Big Mike, I want to run something by you here. The Richlands offense is obviously spread-oriented. They're going to be in the shotgun. You, as a former lineman, do you like still staying in the shotgun when you're that close to the end zone? And I know the formation had nothing to do with their mistakes there, but would you like to see a quarterback under center, generally speaking, when you get that close, like at the 1 or 2 yard line?
I think you're going to go with what your strength is, and if that's your game plan and if that's what you've been practicing, go with it. I will say, interesting turn of events here on the sideline while his return looked excellent. The reason Demarius Wise was in there the whole series, except for that last 3rd and 15 play, was because the other nose tackles over here getting assessed by the trainers. Demarius Wise came off on that 3rd and 15, walking a little gingerly. Looks like he is going to go in on offense, but kind of keep an eye out on that.
Yeah, that's big Will Holland on the side, Sam, and he is getting some attention. So hopefully he's going to be okay, but they'll be cautious and careful as they should.
Jay, I know you like Keyshawn Mcclinton, who returned that kick. We saw his speed last week at the Jamboree. You spoke about him and Antoine Thompson, but a good return there by Keyshawn Mcclinton set South up with a 1st and 10 at its own 40-yard line.
By the way, have you called Antoine Thompson's name here this evening?
Don't even see him on the sideline, partner.
Nor do I. Number 6. Who?
He's out there.
Is he out there?
Well, he's not on the field, but he's in the sideline down here about the 32-yard line.
Okay.
2nd and 8. Handoff to Overton. He's
Wow.
got a crease.
Whoa.
Still on his feet, Jay, and look at him just dragging tackle.
Lost
Jay,
the
it's
ball.
a fumble. It's a fumble, and Richlands has got a little seam. They might run it back all the way inside the 30 to about the 26-yard line, and we got a man down back at the 39 of Richlands. So all kinds of madness going on this play. The result of the play is a fumble recovery and a return all the way to the South 25-yard line. Mike, take us through that sequence there.
Well, the South running back clearly keeping his feet going like he has been all day. That's the one downside of chopping your feet and dragging the pile is you're going to get a lot more hands, a lot more bodies. Looks like Richland was able to capitalize there. We do have a man down. Not looking good for Richlands in that aspect. But, yeah, I mean, game of turnovers today, right?
Yeah, that's 2 for South Brunswick and 3 for Richlands. The man down was number 2, Nate Mummert, who had an interception earlier in the contest. We certainly hope he's okay. He was shaken up. But, Jay, 25 yards away from this one getting real interesting, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the guy that did the splendid job of returning that time was number 8, Owen Simcoe, who has shown some excellent flashes here this evening for the Wildcats of Richlands.
And, Jay, Owen Simcoe hasn't come off the field much. He's worked a lot in the backfield, a lot in the defensive backfield. Mr. Simcoe and his brother Caleb will sleep well tonight.
Yeah, Owen, the big brother to the quarterback Caleb, and Caleb number 1 looking to get something going here.
He's going to keep it. Had a little bit of space there, but brought down at the 22-yard line. A pickup of 3 will set up a 2nd and 7. And Jay, as it does in the second half, time, I guess, as Yogi Berra once said, it's getting late early.
Yeah.
You know, we've only got a minute and some change left in the third quarter, and a 13-point game. Richlands showing a little bit of a sense of urgency here after that first down snap.
That was 42 Devin Galladay in on the stop that time.
Handoff around the right side. Garrett Frazier just tosses Mack down like a rag doll. Loss of a yard on the play to the 23, which will set up a 3rd and 8 from the 23-yard line of the Cougars.
Yeah, Frazier gets the headlines, but the real play there was 44 Ian Dwight, who came up and really slowed the ball carrier down, and then Big Garrett finished him off. So 3rd down for the Cats here, Sam. Now clearly they're in 4-down territory, but they'd like to make a good run on this play.
Offensive coordinator Combs, what do you like here? A touchdown?
I like vanilla ice cream. Well, no, another poor snap and execution.
And I think they're going to get him for a comeback, like blindside block or a block in the back, which, Jay, you got to think that probably be declined.
Well, yeah, it's against Richlands, so let's see what Coach.
But the result of the play was a loss of about 5 yards. So, well, I don't know, unless that's assessed at the end of the run,
or unless it certainly appears to here take them out of field goal position. But a couple times now in critical situations, that the thing that. I mean, I think people talk about it more when you're under center. Just the repetitiveness of the exchange between the center and the quarterback. But it sticks out as well in these gun formations and situations. And a couple of times tonight, in good field position, Richland has not been able to execute that fundamental play.
Guys, what really this is, it's Demarius Wise just kind of getting in the center's head. He's trying to get that snap off quick so that he can go ahead and do get the block on Demarius Wise, because he has been kind of getting little work in the backfield. Let's see what kind of thing happens here. Little spread.
Frazier. Was that with one arm?
I believe maybe a finger. I don't know, Shan. It wasn't a real physical hit, but the results were fine.
And Jay, that is we're going to have a 4th and 35, but I think we're going to have it after the break, depending on how quickly Richlands can get to the line and snap this ball. It is going to be the final play of the third quarter. South Brunswick with another huge defensive stand. We're going to have a 4th and 35. You don't see that every day, folks. As the first play of the fourth quarter. Focus Broadband TV Game of the Week. Heading into the fourth quarter, South Brunswick 16, Richlands 3. And we're back for the start of the fourth quarter on your Focus Broadband TV high school football game of the week. Jay, what do you got in the playbook for 4th and 35?
One of them rugby kicks, I think, maybe. You're down 13, so you're trailing considerably, considering how you've had some difficulties moving the ball tonight. But, 13 is not insurmountable. But I'm not sure he's going to do that. Yeah, he is. Oh,
it's blocked. It's blocked. Now it's picked up, and how about this? I thought he could run around left end. He might have a little running room. So the kick is blocked and recovered by Simcoe, tried to get up and run, and he was stopped at midfield. So South Brunswick, Jay, now has 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery, and a blocked punt. Just way more big plays than the Wildcats have been able to produce tonight, and South Brunswick could go a long way towards salting this one away with a scoring drive here, partner.
Yeah, for sure, and I don't know who blocked the punt, but there were a lot of potential candidates in there, as was a good rush on the part of the Cougars of South Brunswick.
Going for the dagger shot. Down the left sideline, intended for Bishop, and it falls incomplete.
I'll tell you what, Prince can spin it, man.
He can spin it.
You know, he can spin it. Only a junior, and wow, that year last year. And didn't he play some as a freshman? I kind of think he did. You know, and you can't buy experience. You can't – I don't know that it transfers, you know, from practice into games. But, man, game time and experience is – what it's all about. So
his freshman year is when South had Roman Dilgard. Overton's got a crease. Overton's still on his feet. And he's going to score from 50 yards out. Overton's second 50-plus yard touchdown scamper of the night. South Brunswick takes a 22-3 lead. Richlands man is down about the 29-yard line, but no flags on the field. The touchdown will stand. South Brunswick leads by 19. An extra point would put them up 23-3. Let's take another look.
Well, this is, I think, Overton's speed. Abrams gets down with a little kind of a shield block, but the rest of it is really Ethan Overton and showing some quicks and some speed. He's over 100 yards rushing for this evening and a pair of scores. Remember, this is a kid, as a sophomore, he rushed for 62 yards. He's already exceeded his seasoned running record, or running yards from last year.
Well, Jay, Overton's over 100 yards rushing on just the 2 touchdown runs.
2 touchdowns.
107. So, but Jay, really, other than that, it's for Overton specifically been kind of a quiet night, but he's probably, 150-ish?
Oh, he's poking around, clearly over the 100, as you pointed out, Sam, and maybe, up around there. But big plays and turnovers, I think, really the difference in this game tonight, all in the favor of South Brunswick.
Guys, I know in the big scheme of things, it may not matter much, but that snap was a low bullet and behind Nate Parker. He picked it like a shortstop, somehow got it on the tee just in time for Pierce to knock it through. So a 23-3 lead for the South Brunswick Cougars over the visiting Richlands Wildcats. And Jay, unless Richlands is going to find a way to score 21 or more points in 11 and a half minutes after scoring 3 all night, South Brunswick well on its way in the season opener.
Yeah, likely not.
Big Mike, what you got, partner?
Well, anytime you can get a breakaway run off the left edge and then get a receiver blocking at the third level, you're going to have a good chance of scoring. Again, shout out to the holder on the extra point there. Really impressive drive by South. This game's reminded me of a little bit of that Wilder Fury fight from a couple months ago where, Richland's been in it. They've been throwing some bombs. They even knocked down South for a little bit, but South's just kind of withstanding, and I think they might be about to pull away.
That's a really good analysis. It makes me think about a Coldplay concert.
So Mike, who is Fury and who's Wilder?
Oh, South is clearly Fury, and Richland is Wilder.
So, Mike, I knew you're a big rugby guy and a big wrestling fan. Well, I didn't realize you were also a big boxing fan.
I'm a fan of big money fights and athletes athleting, and so I don't follow boxing very much, but anytime you get 2 heavyweights that are going to be throwing bombs, I'm going to go ahead and turn that on.
Jeez. Hey, by the way, Nate Parker.
I'm scared just listening. I'm not much for contact,
it's
man.
It's a little frightening, yeah. But hey, by the way, Nate Parker, who made such a great athletic play on that snap, It's interesting. He is listed on the South Brunswick roster as an athlete, and he is indeed.
As opposed to a Wallace Rose Hill player from last week who was listed as what, Jay?
I forgot.
Dog.
Oh, the dog. How could I forget?
Rough.
Yeah, dog. I like that.
All right, we're going to reel it in before we lose this again.
Thank you for
like last
reminding
week.
me,
So
yeah.
Richlands, 1st and 10 from the 20. He just calls Hutt.
Darn.
Throws it
Close.
over to number 24, Jay. That's Wilgis. And Jay, either the 5th or 6th attempt in Wilgis's direction tonight, and they haven't been able to connect one time.
Yeah, and that one had a wee bit of a wobble, no pun intended, but the location was fine, and Will just could not bring it in.
Guys, it looks like South's using this opportunity, being up a little bit in the fourth quarter, to get some younger guys some playing time. We got a new nose guard in as well as Big 47. He's a nice, tall, long guy at the right defensive end.
Oh, man. Dwight. Ian Dwight just met the ball carrier in the hole. Jay, I actually think that was, 44. I was right the first time.
That's Dwight, right? Ian Dwight. But the thing is impressive there. He went after, was that Mara, 77? One of the big guys in that offensive line for Richland got sort of overwhelmed by a guy probably 100 pounds less.
So, Jay, at 3rd and 12, from the ball is at the 18-yard line. 10.5 minutes left to go in this one. False start. I thought the running back moved.
Boy, another tough snap.
Had him by the jersey, and that's grounding. There's no one even remotely close.
He was outside the tackle box, Sam.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Big Mike.
Intentional rounding call. But he was chased out of the pocket after a poor snap.
Good call, Big Mike. Incomplete pass, and that's going to set up a 4th and 12 from the 18-yard line. And, Mike, remember the last time and I know they've done this kind of rugby punt out of the shotgun all night, but the last time they tried it, it was blocked. So be interesting to see if Richlands has more success getting this kick away.
Yeah, anytime you're doing this, what I don't like to call a rugby style, you're not as deep as you are in a standard punt, so you got to make sure you block your guys.
Oh, Bishop's got a little running room.
On the reception inside the return to about the 40 or rather the 37-yard line.
A return of about 12 yards from the 50 to the 38-yard line. So, Jay, if they didn't salt it away with the last Overton touchdown run, they're 38 yards away from putting this one on ice with a score here. Wouldn't you say?
I would say that that difference, I think, would be pretty much impossible for Richland to overcome, given the amount of time they have left in which to do it. And there's still a considerable amount of time here in the fourth quarter, 10 minutes, 20 seconds.
There's Overton. He's got more room. Still on his feet. Finally brought down at about the 17-yard line. A gain of 21 yards and an Ethan Overton in South Brunswick first down.
Yeah, maybe a touchdown saving tackle that time by C.J. Mcdonald, but
Mike,
take another
after
peek.
this replay, I'm going to pop quiz you here. Good run by Overton.
Running the daylight.
Handoff off right tackle. Overton stood up in the hole that time and brought down. Mike, I know you're here on the home sideline on the South Brunswick side, but looking across the field, it looks, I would describe it as lifeless over there on the Richlands sideline. Do you get that vibe from the defense? Are they still out there fighting and competing?
The defensive line continues to kind of hold the team together there. But like you said, once you're kind of down and once you've been throwing your best shots and kind of getting, I don't want to say defeated, but yeah, but you know they're getting beat It's can be kind of zap your energy, zap your motivation a little bit. On the opposite side, the South Brunswick team, very excited, very up. We're getting some younger guys here on the offensive line. Looks like South's coaching staff is letting the seniors and the starters rest a little bit.
Well, as long as they keep giving the ball to Overton, they'll be fine.
He's wide open. Shrewsbury, touchdown. A 13-yard pitch and catch from Jameson Prince to Michael Shrewsbury, and the Cougars have a 29-3 lead. 8 minutes, 54 seconds left in the game. Here it is, shotgun snap to Prince. He fakes the handoff, rolls to his left. Just a nice throw, rolling to his left, throwing back across his body to Shrewsbury, who was wide open, secured the catch, crossed the goal line for a Cougar touchdown.
Ran so successfully a number of times in a row, and that point after is good.
Jay, let me ask you this time. We've seen South Brunswick a half dozen times every year for about 5-6 years doing games together. This is a kind of a new look Cougars team. Never going to be the same without Shelton Bocook, Danny Parker, some other key contributors like that. But as far as tonight goes, about what you expected, have they played better than you thought, worse than you thought? Handicap the Cougars for us.
I would say better at this point because they didn't really show this big play capability so much last week against South Columbus in the Bash, but clearly tonight, football games are a lot of times the differences, in addition to errors and mistakes, are big plays. Who makes the most big plays? Clearly,
Cougars.
It's been all Cougars tonight, big play wise, and a very opportunistic defense with, the 3 turnovers that they managed to come up with. So. Yeah, a little surprising. Thought they would be favored coming into it, but not sure that I expected at this point with still 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes to go in the game, and they're comfortably ahead now 30-3.
Dow Pender, high end over end kick, fielded cleanly by Owen Simcoe. He takes off. He's got a nice crease there across the 30 to the 35-yard line for a first down. And Jay, I think that was actually 23 Damian Hall who returned that, not 8 Owen Simcoe, but I didn't get a great look at it. But the ball is at the 35-yard line where Richlands will take over. First and 10. Jay, South Brunswick goes to Midway next week for its first road game of the 2022 season before returning home to take on the Knights of West Bladen. Then South has a bye week before starting conference play right here at Jack Campbell Stadium against the Topsail Pirates and Jack Teachy on September 16th. So, Jay, 4 very winnable games to start the year for the Cougars.
Yeah, it took the words out of my mouth. It seems like that's a favorable out-of-the-gate schedule for South Brunswick. So they think theoretically, after that bye week, they could start their conference play undefeated.
Jay, where are we going to be next week, Guy?
We are going to be in Wyville. Okay,
you got it, man.
As the Wolfpack takes on the Trojans of West Brunswick. What's the latest score on West, Sam? Have you heard?
The last I got was 21-0 in Carolina Forest's favor. I'll work on getting an update for you and see if I can pass it along to you here in the fourth quarter of this one. We're at just under the 8-minute mark here at BSL. Jay's got a man. That's Mcdonald. He's to the 30. He's to the 5, and he's tripped up. A touchdown-saving tackle by Brendan Hoagland. Mcdonald got behind the defense, secured the catch, and nearly scored. Let's see, 45 and another 15, a 60-yard gain on the pass from number 1, Caleb Simcoe, to number 44, C.J. McDonald.
Well, that here, and we won't. Yeah, we will see it again. As Caleb Simcoe has time to throw another low snap.
Boy, perfect throw.
Nothing fancy, just a good, solid delivery. And then absent that TD saving tackle by Hoagland, South gets their first touchdown of the game and the year.
Okay, guys, while we have a timeout on the field by South Brunswick, I want to take you back to Saturday night, this past Saturday night. The East Bladen running back, Mason Brooks. We were calling him Mr. Brooks.
Yeah.
Big, Jay, I wanted to pass on to you guys. He was about 5'8", 5'7", 5'8". I kid you not, his arms were the size of my thighs, my legs. And his legs were like as wide as the track at West Brunswick. He was enormous. Yeah. And to move and run the way that he ran, we're going to be covering a lot of area football this year in southeastern North Carolina. So East Bladen's Mason Brooks is a name to look at. And the big fullback from Whiteville, Falk. 22. We'll get a look at him next week when we're in Whiteville as the Trojans come to town. But, man, if you're in Elizabethtown, don't mess with Mason Brooks. Just take my word for it. The kid was enormous. Handoff, Simcoe to Simcoe. Owen Simcoe dances across the goal line for a Richlands touchdown. And maybe a little bit of too little, too late for the Wildcats, but an impressive drive. The 60-yard pass from Simcoe to Mcdonald set it up. Jay, take us through the replay, partner.
Nothing fancy, just a kind of a dive handoff to Owen Simcoe, and Simcoe does the rest. I don't know, Big Mike, you were talking about some changes, some new players on the field for South Brunswick. You think that may have an impact a little bit on that particular series?
On that series, for sure. You definitely kind of expect that when you start kind of bringing in guys that don't have a lot of game experience. The big play for sure. That was just excellent blocking on Richlands' right-hand side to allow that touchdown.
So what we got?
It was offsides. South Brunswick lined up. I'm wondering if Richlands is able to decline this.
I hope so for their part.
Jay, it looks like in high school football, it must just be a dead ball. You know, if you're lined up, they just blow it dead. So he's going to have to retry the point after try.
That's Exley, who has a excellent, no pun intended, foot.
Yeah,
so.
he's got a strong leg.
Sure does.
Jay. That ball almost hit the fence back there behind the track. Good snap, good hold. The kick is up. The kick is good. That one not quite as far, but Chris Exley, good job handling the place kicker duties. Made a 32-yard field goal earlier for the Wildcats. And, Jay, with 7:40 left to go in this one, it's South Brunswick 30, Richlands 10. How about the fight and the competitiveness of the Wildcats down 30-3 to come right back and put together a scoring drive?
I love it. And listen, credit Coach Pat Bird for keeping his kids mentally in this game and certainly on that series physically. And, look, 30-10 versus 30-3. Not a whole lot of difference in terms of, your ability to make a game out of this. But, man, 30-10 sure sounds a lot closer.
A lot better. It sure does.
So, perceptually, that's a real good series for the Wildcats.
And, look at you.
And look, what are we hearing in the background?
AC/DC.
Oh, my word.
Not quite as awesome as the halftime music that Jay was enjoying so thoroughly tonight.
Aaron.
Big Mike, back to the football game quickly. Your expectations coming into tonight versus how the game is played out, about what you expected, or South exceeded your expectations?
Watching South warm up.
Look at here, Sam.
So watch. Oh, sorry, guys.
Loose ball.
There we go. They recovered it.
Richlands recovered it all the way at about the 30-yard line. Cannot advance the onside kick, but it's dead where he recovered it. And a great call by our production manager, Aaron Varnum. The white hat ran in there and threw the beanbag down at the 34-yard line, which is where Richlands recovered it. And that's where the ball will be placed rather than the 30, which is where he ended up getting tackled.
Yeah, credit to Monte Bowman, number 7, a senior on special teams that time for Richland, coming up with that ball and giving his Cats another chance to growl here.
So, Sam, going back to your question, South's kind of performing about where I would expect. And watching them warm up, their pass game looked really solid. I think the score would be a little higher had they connected on a couple of those wide-open pass plays. Really excited about the defense from South. We didn't see it a lot last week at the scrimmage, but they've been holding pretty steady, obviously, if you look at the score.
So, Jay, with 7:32 left to score here, at least make things semi-interesting. Simcoe's going to fire it to the right sideline well over the head of Wilgis and incomplete to set up a 2nd and 10, 7:27 left in the ball game.
He was looking for nobody but 6'2" junior receiver Andon Wilgis on that play, and I don't know, he looked like he was pretty well defended and covered, so probably not a bad play to just throw it out of bounds the way he did.
Looks like we do have the starting defensive line back in the game for South.
Good call, Mike.
2nd and 10, ball at the 34-yard line of the Cougars. Shotgun snap, Simcoe trying to find a running lane. He did not have much of one.
Who did he find,
65, D. Wise slams him to the turf.
That's who he found. That's a dangerous thing if you're carrying the ball and you run into Mr. Wise.
All right, Jay Combs takes the snap, fakes the speed option, cuts inside, finds a hole, he thinks, and there he sees Big 65 waiting. What does Jay Combs do?
Immediately fumble.
Yeah, good thinking.
Go down like I've been shot with a gun. I mean, I'm not going to get killed.
6:45 left in this one. No gain on the play, so 3rd and 10 for the Richlands Wildcats. A man in motion. Sprint out to the right. Got to get rid of it. He does. And that is enough for a first down. Is that Thiel?
That's Thiel.
41, Julian Thiel, the receiver, makes the grab and is brought down just inside the 25-yard line at the 24, very close to the line to gain, and it is a Richlands first down. Jay, good throw there.
Had some pressure from Ian Dwight, but Simcoe hung in there and delivered a strike to another sophomore, Julian Thiel, so sophomore to sophomore on that play. A little glimpse of, the future for the Richlands Wildcats.
1st and 10, ball is marked at the 24-yard line. Game clock continues to roll, approaching the 6-minute mark. Uh-oh.
Too late.
Number 15, Bennett Ballantyne, your guy with the sack.
Bennett the banger, right? And he blew in, just nobody touched him. So 15 last year, I think. Wasn't that the number Harrell wore and wore it so well? We talk a lot about his kicking, but that guy was a good defensive player too, Sam. And looks like Bennett Ballantyne going to continue to find play for that jersey.
So now 2nd and about 19. Ball's back at the 34-yard line now. He's got time here to throw, and he's got a man. Is that Wilgis? That's the first time they have connected tonight. It was Wilgis over on the far sideline. Ball 9-yard pitch and catch to the 25-yard line to set up a 3rd and 11 from the 25.
Yeah, Sam, not for lack of trying, right?
No, sir. That's about the 10th pass his way.
Simcoe has really been trying to locate Wilgis all night long, and that time delivered a really well-thrown ball. As we slip under 5 minutes to go here in the 4th and final quarter.
3rd and 11, ball at the 25. Uh-oh,
Wise.
Wise.
Uh-oh.
Wise.
Uh-oh. Hey, we see you, big guy.
We don't have three.
Yeah, we see you.
We don't have 3 of them, but we got one Wise man. And he sacked Simcoe back at the 34.
Yeah, let's watch it. I'm not sure did a white shirt touch him. Maybe a little, but
man.
That arm came out.
He took the blocker and the quarterback down.
Yeah, man. On that play, Demetrius looked like he had a 10-foot long arm, let me tell you.
Guys, the South defense has just been teeing it up. pinning their ears back and just trying to get after it. Linebackers have been flying all over, particularly this drive.
So this is probably it, folks, with 3:50 left on 4th and 20. And, oh, boy, nearly came up with a miraculous catch, but a good play by number 11, Zane Simmons, to get up there and break up the deep pass attempt. And, Jay, that is a turnover on downs, and for all intents and purposes, with 3:44 left in this one and a 20-point lead, that should just about do it.
Yeah,
if they protect the ball.
Maybe, yeah, a couple of first downs on the ground for sure. But Nate Mummert, I think, was the intended receiver that time for the Wildcats, and darned if he didn't play good defense on offense that time.
Guys, I thought we were going to get a tie goes with the receiver on that. Defender caught it first, but then number 2 was trying to steal it back, and I think that's what caused the incompletion.
Jay, you expect South Brunswick to just go heavy dose on the ground here?
Is Overton in the game? Yeah, looks like it. Is that him?
Overton on the carry up near the 37-yard line.
That's Overton. That's him.
Overton across the 35 to all the way to the 39-yard line, a gain of 5 yards to set up a 2nd and 5.
C.J. Mcdonald in on the stop that time for Richlands. And this kid, I'm not sure he's come out of play tonight, Sam.
Another handoff to Overton. This time he's going to be just shy of the line to gain, about a yard shy.
Late flag, Sam, a late flag.
Yeah, personal foul against the Cougs maybe. Yep, late hit, personal foul. Got an update, Jay, from down in Conway. Carolina Forest leads the Trojans 49-14.
Wow.
49-14.
Well, so my surprise there is
Looks like it was an illegal block.
not that I mean, look, everybody coming into the season, they knew the area of concern for West was its defense, although they played pretty good defensively last week in the Bash. And but no one, I think, thought or still thinks that they're going to have a real hard time moving the ball now. 14 points against that squad. I guess that they could have moved the ball real well and only walked away with a couple of scores. But West, on paper, at least in this 2022 season, could be real fun to watch when they have the ball, and have to be optimistic that they can start making some plays defensively. Get a chance next week against an awfully good team in Whiteville, and of course Whiteville heads to North tomorrow, which is going to be has the makings of a real fine matchup.
Boy, 2 good football teams. Deep pass down the middle. Oh! Shrewsbury couldn't come up with it. A beautiful throw by Jameson Prince, but the Shrewsbury just couldn't quite bring it down, and it's incomplete. It'll stop the clock with 2:46 left in the game, and South holding on to a 20-point lead.
How many yards that Jameson's thrown here this evening? Clearly over 100, and maybe considerably so. But
91 on one play.
But if some of those passes that he has thrown have been caught, he's probably looking at a 300-yard game.
Yep.
That ball was delivered perfectly. And maybe, those kinds of pitch and catch things settle out a little bit as the season goes on. Pretty good kick, Sam.
Oh, and it took so the second or third time that Richlands has picked up a loose ball that could have been, disaster. Again, not sure it matters a whole lot with 2:31 left and the Wildcats trailing by 20 points. But nevertheless, Owen Simcoe maintains possession, returns it out to about the 44-yard line of the Wildcats.
That's Noah Dwight, 33, getting up kind of slow on that one. He was at the bottom of that pile and kind of rubbing that leg a little bit on the sidelines, but looks like he's going to be okay.
Boy, Jay, these kids, I bet, sleep good on Friday nights, don't they?
I'm sure
they play
do.
so hard, and they compete, and it's tough and rough, and they get banged up, and boy, they're back at it Mondays at their schools practicing, and they do it all again next week.
That they do.
So 1st and 10, Richlands at its own 44-yard line. Mack in motion, low snap. Catches it, and he is still on his feet, Jay. Made a great run after the catch, and he's driven out of bounds at about the 35-yard line, a gain of about 21 yards, and a Richlands first down.
That's our Mekhi Mack, who has made a couple of really good plays here this evening.
So now for a first down for Richlands. Goes out of bounds at the Cougar 30.
Can't tell, Sam, has the rain picked back up, or is it just in its steady pace? Mike, how about it? Rain on the field.
It's been on and off all night. It's gone a little bit more steady the last couple minutes, but nothing that I think is going to affect how the players play the game.
So 1st and 10, Richlands at the 36-yard line of the Cougars. Swing route is incomplete. Oh, and there is a flag on the field laying down at about the 35-yard line. So we'll wait to get the call from the white hat here.
Yellow hanky near the line of scrimmage.
.2:14 left in the contest. South Brunswick 30, Richlands 10. Illegal hands to the face on the Richlands offense, and we will replay first down.
Looks like it was an illegal hands to the face against the Wildcats.
There's a picture of the raindrops, Sam.
And they're going to spot it.
Mike, I think, has had that one right. It has picked up in volume here the last few minutes.
I've worked up such a thirst here in the second half, I want to go outside and drink some of those raindrops.
I don't know. Did Darius's cookies or any of them left? I mean, that's okay. Okay, that is enough to get him home, I think. Okay.
But not before drinking a bottle of raindrops. Oh, Simcoe made a miss. But he could not make Hoagland miss, who's had a fine night on the defensive side for South Brunswick.
Sam, I don't know if we can get a shot of the South Brunswick sidelines, but 75, that's Big Will Holland, who had been getting some medical attention, and he's on the bench, and I believe, as I'm not sure totally, but I think 65, Demarius Wise is patrolling. There's Holland. 65, Demarius Wise, does he have his pads off? Is he done for the night?
He still has his pads on, but his helmet's sitting on the bench.
Okay, well, he's just so big. It's hard to tell.
That pass over the head of the intended receiver and incomplete. So that stops the clock with 1:22 left in the game. And, Jay, that also sets up a fourth down. Let's see, ball's at the 46, so they need 24 and another. It's 4th and 28 here.
They got a long way to go on this one, Sam. What's 4th and forever, huh? Oh, hit the backside.
Hit the back of an intended receiver who was blocking and not receiving. So, Jay, with a 30-10 lead and only 1:13 left, South Brunswick can snap this ball twice, and that should do it, partner.
Yeah, it should. And, a good, solid opening night performance for South Brunswick. Rocky Lewis's squad begins the year with a convincing victory. And you saw, some evidence of, a little bit of good play and different, the 3 different levels, categories, however you want to call it, of football, which is offense, defense, and special teams. South did some good things with each of those components, and it's going to amount to a real solid opening victory, 30-10 over the visitors from Richland.
So Prince just takes the snap back in the shotgun and then takes a knee on it, and South should be able to do that once more, and that should just about do it. And partner, really it certainly wasn't perfect, as most season openers aren't, but some flashes of brilliance on all three sides of the ball for South Brunswick. You had the 2 big touchdown runs by Overton, a couple big pass plays from Prince to Jordan Davis and Shrewsbury. You had Hoagland's 2 interceptions and a couple fumble recoveries on the defensive side, and then Dal Pender with a 55-yard punt. He kicked a touchback. He made a field goal. So, boy, just a whole lot of positives if you're Rocky Lewis, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And all of the, what makes football successful, a football team successful, I think you could check the box for each of those for South Brunswick here this evening. Not that there's some things that they won't look at this film and they'll identify and make improvements, but a very, very solid start for Rocky Lewis and his South Brunswick Cougars.
And that is going to do it for the Focus Broadband TV crew. Nathan Evers, Brandon Mayberry, production manager Aaron Varnum, Mike Maurer, Jay Combs. I am Sam Hickman. In the season opener from Jack Campbell Stadium, it's the South Brunswick Cougars with an emphatic Week 1 win, 30-10 winners over the Richlands Wildcats. Reminder, next week we will be on the campus of Whiteville High School, where they will host the West Brunswick Trojans from Charlotte, a big one. Next week in Whiteville. For the entire Focus Broadband TV team, good night from Bowling Spring Lakes, and we'll see you right here next week for our high school football game of the week.